welcome to the channel. I'm back to take a first look at this Week 2 NFL DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown after a Week 1. Excited that football's back and looking to keep it going. Get you guys in the green, get into the first look of this slate this week. Figure out some top spots that we're going to want to target. Reflect on some of the stuff that we saw in Week 1. And keep it going. So looking forward to it. Before we do, quick reminder, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to check out my NFL DFS premium package, link below in the description, adding some major upgrades to that this week. I'm really looking forward to it. Stuff I've been working hard on the back end, my projected ownership, top stacks tool. Going to have many more things going over there, snap counts. I'm just going to keep adding to it all season long. So, get in now, get it at the friendly price tag, and I think it's really going to help you become a much more profitable NFL DFS player. So check that out. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate. And as always, going to figure out some top options as far as pace is concerned, and I will say right off the bat, the number one game that is sticking out to me on this slate this week that I'm really liking from a pace aspect is going to be the Chargers taking on the Cowboys. I think this game is going to garner a lot of ownership, and I think it will for very good reason because there's a 55 over-under. Not only that, my team snaps and projected snaps overall grade out very well, which I oftentimes refer to even when they don't agree with the total, and this game is some of the best pace you could ask for. 70 projected snaps on both sides, 55 over-under, and the options that we have in this game are going to be very narrowed down. A Dallas passing attack that was already pretty clear to establish who the ball was going to, and now with Michael Gallup on the IR, it's going to be even easier. I expect Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb to have some serious targets headed their way in this offense. We know Zeke in the backfield, and on the other side, we have Justin Herbert and his pass-catching weapons. We know that Eckler is going to get a lot of targets. We know that Keenan Allen is going to get a lot of targets. We know Mike Williams' role in this offense as a deep threat. And we know the tight end position for both teams as well. We have Jared Cook, Schultz, Jarwin. All the options that we're going to on this slate are going to be very apparent in this game. I love it. I think you can stack it up from both sides. As I always say, you want to play a quarterback with two of his receiving options, and I think you can run it back on the other side with someone very effectively in this game. And I think it's such a good game environment that I would have no issue doing just a full-on game stack with lots of weapons from this game, including guys like Prescott, Eckler, Elliott, like we talked about, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams. I think you can get really creative with your game stacks. And that game's really standing out to me this week. So I want to get that out of the way. As far as other games that I'm looking to, we can definitely be taking a look at the Minnesota running game, of course, in Dalvin Cook taking on the Arizona Cardinals. They really don't scare us. Only thing that I would say is that Minnesota is currently 4.5-point dogs in this one, but I do think with the snaps and the pace of this game that Dalvin Cook could really have a big game. That's not a hot take whatsoever with the usage that he gets, and I'm sure he's going to garner quite a bit of ownership, but he's definitely a guy that's standing out to me. At the top here, 20 rushing attempts last week with 61 yards, 7 targets. That's great. Pretty much lines up with everything that we're looking for. Wasn't able to get in the end zone last week, and I think that of course could change this week. So Dalvin Cook from a running game aspect is a guy that I'll definitely be taking a look to. And then we have a heavy favorite in the Cleveland Browns taking on the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans defense is terrible. Their defense that I'm going to be targeting all season long. Their D-line I'm not worried about whatsoever. I think Nick Chubb's in a great spot here. There's a 12-point spread. I expect for him to probably get a lot of usage, a lot of runs in this game. The only thing I would say maybe from a devil's advocate aspect would be the fact that Kareem Hunt's also in this backfield, and he could steal some of these touchdowns, some of these big plays from him. But with that being said, I think you could add Kareem Hunt to your player pool and feel pretty great about it. I mean, Kareem Hunt's only 5,800. Nick Chubb's up at 7,800. You get the nice discount. And I think you should get a decent amount of volume out of Kareem Hunt. I mean, nothing too crazy in week 1 as far as his rushing attempts. He had 6 attempts, but 3 targets as far as the passing game is concerned. That's not bad at all. And then as far as Nick Chubb was concerned and his usage, we saw him run 15 times, 2 targets out of the backfield. So I think both these guys will get their usage. You can play the Chubb play and hope that he really has a big game. If you think that he's too priced up, go to Kareem Hunt. And I think, both those running backs are definitely going to be in play. I expect them to be up big. Of course, you can go to the Cleveland passing game. The only problem really is going to be if this game stays close. If they get ahead, as said, the game script might play more so to those running backs. So that's another spot that I definitely will be looking to from a first look aspect. As far as other games that are standing out to me, I mean, we just talked about the Minnesota-Arizona game, but it is definitely one that I'll be looking to, the passing attack as well on both sides. Definitely some great passing weapons and definitely some great stack options similar to the Dallas Chargers game that we already discussed. We have Kyler Murray, great option. Kirk Cousins isn't more of a discount, but you can stack up Kyler with his weapon on the outside of DeAndre Hopkins. Kirk has Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. We saw Christian Kirk have a great week 1. Seeing 5 targets, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns, great performance out of him. So that's something to keep your eye on as the season goes on. And then we have Conklin, Herndon for tight end options alongside Max Williams. I do think that we're going to be more interested in the wide receiver options in that game for sure. But another one to be looking to. And next, I would be looking to the Indianapolis Colts and Rams game as far as a pace perspective compared to the over-under. This game comes in right now with a 4-point spread in favor of the Rams. Rams have a very good run D, so I think that the Colts are going to be kind of forced to throw it here, and they're going to be kind of forced to come behind. So I think that the pass attack could definitely be one that you're looking to this week. As far as their options, very clear target share as well with T.Y. Hilton on the IR currently. Really looking to Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman Jr., and Paris Campbell. Those 3 guys are really going to dominate most of the share here. Pittman was a guy I was pretty high on in week 1. He was pretty disappointing. We did see Pascal see 5 targets. And then as far as the tight end game is concerned, still dealing with Jack Doyle and Mo Alley-Cox. Kind of splitting time there. 4 targets for Jack Doyle in week 1 as far as Mo Alley-Cox is concerned. He saw 2 targets. Is a little bit more of a deep threat there, though, so I still do think he has some high upside in tournaments at his price tag. And then on the other side, we have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. That target share should be very condensed as well with the upgrade at the QB position in Matthew Stafford. So another game I think that you really could be looking to those weapons in this one. I do greatly prefer the passing attack in comparison to the run game, I think, and this one on both sides. But with that being said, when you're talking about pass-catching running backs, Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor have both done a pretty good job at filling in that role as well. We saw Jonathan Taylor see 7 targets in week 1. Could be able to get you quite a bit of points via the air, not only on the ground. And like I said, I think that the Colts are going to be kind of forced to go to that passing game in this one. Another game we can be looking to is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Really, the only concern here is going to be blowout run. 12.5-point spread in favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a 52.5 over under. 32.5 implied total for these Bucs, though. So if this game stays close whatsoever, we could see Tom Brady have a massive game. Some of these Bucs pass catchers have a massive game, and it's definitely a spot that you have to be looking to because the Atlanta defense is terrible. So I like Tom Brady a lot. I like Matt Ryan as a run back option. And as far as the other options in this game, we saw Ronald Jones get pulled from week 1 pretty early after he made a kind of a head-scratching mistake on the fumble. He only had 4 rushing attempts. It was a complete bust. I'm hoping that that's going to limit his ownership in this matchup because I think he's going to be a great spot. They get up big. I think that he's really in a great bounce-back spot, and Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians already said that he's going to serve as the team's starting running back Sunday. He'll be good to go. I think they're kind of pumping him up in this matchup. He gets one of the most ideal matchups you could ask for, and I think this will be a great spot to kind of have him have a big game, forget about the week 1 lapse, and move on from it. So I definitely am high on Ronald Jones this week. I think you could get him. Hopefully it's some ownership. Maybe you don't, but maybe that's kind of what everyone's saying, the same thing as me, but definitely viable. And then, like I said, the pass-catching options in this game and the overall options as far as Calvin Ridley on the Atlanta side, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, great options. And I think the run back's going to be pretty obvious with Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley really being the 2 main targets on the Atlanta side. So another game that I really would be looking to target. You just got to determine whether it's going to be a blowout. I mean, if this game blows out, the pass-catching options on the Tampa Bay side are not going to have nearly as much upside, so that's obviously a concern. So you're either going to have to play the blowout route and maybe go more so heavy on the Tampa Bay running game, or you can go ahead and stack it up both sides, hope it stays close, and capture the full upside of that game. But definitely one that you should be taking a hard look at this week. And then as we move along here, we have San Fran taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. think this would be another pretty decent game to target. Definitely some options in this game. Should be moving at a pretty decent pace, a 50 over-under here. And as far as the targets, once again, I think it's going to be pretty consolidated here. We have Jalen Hurts, Jimmy Garoppolo on both sides of the run game. As far as that's concerned, could be a little bit consolidated. A little bit mixed up like on both sides. We do have Miles Sanders on the Philly side, and then we saw Gainwell get some carries as well in week 1 at only a 4K salary. He had 9 carries, had a great game in week 1 overall, I would say, for his price tag and stuff. It's just really a matter of if he's going to cut into Miles Sanders, but I think the passing attack on both sides could really be interesting. Currently, Brandon Ayuk is listed as questionable. He did not receive a target in Sunday's win. And apparently he fell on the depth chart due to an injury and not a performance. So he just wasn't there. Definitely a guy you're going to have to keep an eye on. And if he's not good to go, Deebo Samuel, I think, is going to get a big upgrade here along with Sherfield on the San Francisco side, maybe even taking a hard look at some Mohamed Sanu, who is a great deep target. I mean, he's going to be minimum salary. He's always been a guy that's just a burner down the seams, and if he can get deep open, he's good for some big plays. And then on Philadelphia, we definitely could be targeting guys with Devontae Smith really showing a good game. Jalen Reagor, we have Fulgham, Alshon Jeffrey. But I mean, as far as who we were looking to in week 1, I think the Eagles really showed who they would really mainly be targeting. That's going to be Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Dallas Goedert, and Zach Ertz did go down with an injury. And I said Fulgham. I mean, he hasn't really been part of this receiving core, so a guy that could possibly maybe slide back in when we're seeing some injuries with Zach Ertz, but probably not. It's really going to be a concentrated target share, and that's for good reason. I mean, the tight ends as well, I think, are going to be in George Kittle and Dallas Goedert. I think Zach Ertz might miss this week. George Kittle's obviously always been a big target share beast, and Dallas Goedert, I think, could take a big step up, especially if there's no Zach Ertz in this Philadelphia offense. So another spot where it's going to be a great game script. I think where the target share is going. It's pretty straightforward as far as who you'd be targeting, and I think that Jalen Hurts has a ton of upside running on the ground. I'm going to try to continue to target these mobile quarterbacks in daily fantasy sports. They just offer you a ton of upside. While I said like a guy like Tom Brady at 6,900 is a great play, I could make a case that Jalen Hurts has way more upside, and he's only 6,500. So got to continue to target those mobile quarterbacks. Love Jalen Hurts. I talked about Kyler Murray in that Minnesota-Arizona game. One game I haven't mentioned is the Tennessee-Seattle game, and that game looks to be a fairly respectable pace as well. Kind of middle of the pack, but it does have a 53 over-under, second highest on the slate, so it's definitely a game that we have to be looking to, and it's a 5.5-point spread in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. So another game that I think we could be going to, and another game with some really great weapons to be targeting. I mean, when you look at both of these sides, some great guys, both in the running game and the passing game. Derrick Henry, of course. Carson on the Seahawks side is going to be great options. They're both going to get a bunch of usage. And then we also have 2 passing attacks that can really air it out. We have Russell Wilson paired up with 2 great wide receivers on the outside in Lockett and DK Metcalf. And we have Ryan Tannehill paired up on the outside with 2 great weapons with guys like A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So, I mean, what more could he ask for from a game stack? We know where the ball's going. These are elite wide receiver cores, defenses we can target in a game that you have to be looking to. Another game from a running aspect that I definitely will be having some interest to is going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates game taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 6.5-point favorites with a 48.5 over/under, and I am definitely going to have a lot of interest in Najee Harris this week, taking on this Las Vegas Raiders run defense that just does not scare me. And when you're looking at his usage in week 1, it was fantastic. Didn't get the best matchup taking on Buffalo, but he gets an even better matchup here. He had 16 attempts, 3 targets, plenty of time out there on the field. He's only 6,300 still on DraftKings over on FanDuel. They've got price is 6,100. I think he's priced more than reasonable. I think he's going to get plenty of usage, and I think that the Steelers could get up in this game and really want to run the ball and just do that ground and pound type of style play. So Najee Harris really making a lot of sense to me on the slate this week from a first look aspect. And yeah, that's a pretty good first look as far as weather is concerned and stuff. We do have a few games where weather might be a concern. In Miami Miami-Buffalo game, looks like there could be some weather concerns. As far as the Seahawks-Titans, it does look like there could be a little bit of weather there. So yeah, keep an eye on the weather, but as far as anything else, I think that's a pretty good breakdown of really what we're going to be looking at. I mentioned some heavy favorites that I'm going to be having some interest in. I mentioned some running backs. I mentioned some wide receiver cores. One guy I would say that I'm looking to maybe not play this week would be Christian McCaffrey taking on the New Orleans Saints. It's just a very tough matchup. Saints defense is absolutely phenomenal, limiting the run, just a great defense overall. So that might be a guy that I'm looking to have a little bit of lighter exposure on this week, depending upon ownership. If he's going to be very low owned, because everyone's saying that, of course, you can always take a look at it, but I think it's just going to be a spot where you're really not that interested. And then if I was going to mention one more game, I mentioned the Cleveland Browns, heavy favorites. Texans, of course, will be throwing from behind if you have to go to them. Not really feeling great about it. The one thing I would say I didn't mention would be the Bears-Bengals game, which I do think could be a little bit interesting from both aspects, honestly, from a passing and a run game aspect, because depending upon how this game goes, I think there's plenty of options. I mean, we have David Montgomery on the running side for Chicago. Joe Mixon had a great week one as far as usage is concerned. I'm going to continue to target him. I was very high on him going into the season. I mean, I only have one season-long team that I still participate, and he was one of my top priorities. He's on my team. I know this isn't a season-long content channel, but I mean, I love the guy, and his first week usage was ridiculous. 29 rushing attempts, 4 targets. Now, obviously, this game did go to overtime, so that's going to inflate those numbers a little bit. But even if it didn't, he had a tremendous performance. I think he can keep it going this week against Chicago. And then, like I said, I can definitely be targeting David Montgomery on the other side. Not really worried about the Cincinnati run D. He had 16 attempts, 1 target. Pretty solid performance, and I think there's room for upside for him. And then when we go into both sides as far as a passing attack, I think we could definitely be looking to target them as well, because the target share is going to be pretty condensed. We know where the ball is going once again, which is very important to me when I'm targeting these stacks. Allen Robinson, T. Higgins. If anything, on the Cincinnati sides, there's a little bit too many weapons, but depending upon your salary and your build, you can, of course, just go to 2 of these guys, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. All going to be options. On the Chicago side, I feel pretty confident in really targeting, Robinson, Allen Robinson at the top, and then Goodwin. Not Marquise Goodwin. Mooney on the other side, as far as Darnell Mooney is concerned. 7 targets last week. Great job getting accustomed to the system with those 7 targets. Allen Robinson saw 11 targets. So I think that this is another game you could be looking to, and that's a good overall breakdown. That would be the last game I'm going to be looking to as far as a first look. Plenty of options on this slate. I think it's going to be a great one. And yeah, that's a nice little first look for you guys. So if you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Going to have more videos coming later on the week. Don't forget to check out my NFL DFS premium package, link below in the description. I think it's going to be well worth your investment, really making some big improvements on it. You get direct access to me as well, asking questions in the Discord. You message me on Patreon, anything else you need. I wish you guys the best of luck in week 1, and like I said, I'll be out with a final look video later this week. The top stacks video I'm really trying to get out to you guys, and I also have a little bit of more of a lower ownership special video that I'm working on the back end. So that's all for this one, and we'll see you in the next video.